Dragon versus Luffy. Monkey D. Dragon versus Luffy. Monkey D. Dragon is the leader of the Revolutionary Army. He's going against Emu and the world government directly. He doesn't have a problem with the Marines necessarily. He don't care about pirates. He's trying to change the world. He's trying to, reform, the world. Change the world for the better. Get some new type of government in there that works better. And that's what he wants to do, right? When he dethrones Emu. However that's gonna happen or whatever, man. But that's what he does, and he has a devil fruit. Now, this is just me. This is not what it is, y'all. This ain't what it is. We don't know what his devil fruit is yet, but I believe it might be the Susanoo devil fruit. Susanoo's the god of rain, storms, that kind of shit in Japanese folklore, right? So I think that's what it might be. We know that he came down with lightning bolts. We know that and if you watch like episodes of him rescuing Sabo in Goa Kingdom, right? If you slow it down or pause it, you can see the little like wind. It suggests the animation suggests that the wind is there, like because he's gliding down to like soften his landing and shit, right? He's just gliding down instead of just plumping down onto the ship. So that's why I think that, right? Personally. And then Luffy, my favorite character, probably some of y'all's favorite character. He has, the Gum Gum fruit or the human fruit model Sun God Nika. He is the captain of the Stride Pirates, and he's, on his way to becoming king of the pirates. The manga's going crazy as of this date. Shit's ridiculous. We have reveals, we have, powers, powerful people, fighting one another right now in the manga. Luffy in Gear 5 is something to not seize yet. He has Conquer's Haki. He has all three forms of Haki. Dragon probably does too. But let's get into it. Strength, physical strength, I'm giving that shit to Luffy. We've seen our guy many of times doing shit. And I don't think Dragon's physically weak. I actually think he's stronger than a, old man Garp. Old man, right? But when it comes to him and Luffy, I got Luffy. Slight edge to Luffy. Speed, I'm gonna give that shit to Dragon. Because if you know what I know, the wind, that don't move slow. They might be calm some days, but that should be turbulent sometimes too. If you're like Gemini or Aquarius specifically, you know about turbulent wind. Libra knows about it too, but they try to keep it calm. But even then, it's still moving. It's not stagnant, actually, right? Luffy's not stagnant in Gear 5. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if we go based off of like my assumptions or what I think, and then what other people probably agree with too, right? If it's like some wind or weather based abilities, and he got to that platform pretty quickly when his son was there, right? The blade was on his neck and he was like, boom, he got there to save the son. Speed goes to Dragon. I'll give it slight edge to Dragon. Durability, I'm giving that to Luffy. He can take blunt force damage. Let's say he has, armament Haki, and he can hit Luffy with it. Boom! He's getting hit by that shit. He's feeling that a little bit, but not as much as you think. Luffy's getting right back at it. Endurance, we've seen Luffy fight against Kaido. He had to lose a couple times and come back a couple times and fight. Dragon, we don't know what kind of long fights he's been in. But I do believe he's a type of guy who likes to go in and like everything out there, right? I'm not trying to be in this fight for long at all. Like I don't plan on that shit. I plan on just going through it and running through you with everything I got right now. Coming in hot and heavy from the start. Like we're finishing this shit right now as soon as possible. Luffy is like that too. But Luffy, we know that he has the ability to stay in a long fight if he has to. If he has to, he can play that game too. Intelligence goes to Dragon. Intellect, he's smart. He has to run an organization. Now, Luffy has some intelligence, but we know Luffy's not that smart. Like, he's not the smartest guy in the world. He can pick up on things during the battle. He can pick up on, things going on in the environment. But Dragon's like moving like pieces and shit. He's the leader of the Revolutionary Army. he started that shit himself. He had to get people. He had to convince people to follow him and be the so he could be the leader of the Revolutionary Army. He had to, convince them, through words, through actions, and showing them evidence and all this, right? Luffy ain't quite doing that. Luffy, is he's he's a guy who's creative and shit though. He's definitely creative, but he's not smarter than his daddy. Um, Experience goes to Dragon. He's been running around the world evading that shit for a long time. He was 17 when he got kicked out of the Marines, right? And he's like almost 50, or he is 50 now. So, do the math on that. He had to like evade the world. He had to fight the world, and like he hasn't even fought the like world government, the head of the world government directly yet. But he's been fighting them for a long time and invading them for a long time. Luffy, he's been a pirate for only 2 years, and like he's made great fucking strides and shit, and he has experienced things that other people haven't. But he's been through more. Close skills go to Dragon. I think he's like Garp, but he has a little spin on it. If you know what I mean, he has that little spin on it. You know the Dragon Claw shit, right? And he fights in that manner, right? And I don't think Luffy has bad, close skills either, but I think it shines in the range skills category. If Dragon tries to fly back because he knows Luffy's strong, right, and his hits are hard, Luffy can just swing his arm and still catch him. Boom, boom, boom. He's still getting tagged, right? Recoup goes to Dragon because Gear 5, he can't stay in it for a long time. He'll have to wait a while, a little bit. And fighting in his regular form, if he can, do that, then he can, pop back into Gear 5, and he can pop back into Gear 5. But Dragon, I think he just recovers better than Luffy does. Right now, at least. Anime version of Luffy, not the, manga version or later manga versions as we, over here, like, foreseeing and shit for Luffy in the future. Hacks go to Luffy. He's Gear 5, Double Fruit, when we know he's confirmed to have all three. Conqueror's Haki, Armored Haki, advanced applications of, Future Sight, Armored, Conquerors. We don't know about Dragon yet, but, it's safe to say that he's one of those kinds of characters. He's going to get a reveal, hopefully this year. That's what I'm hoping for. If not this year, then next year. But of like those powers at least, right? Environment goes to Luffy. With Gear 5, he can change the environment, rubberize the environment. That's unstable ground. He's going to have to fly around, right? So, when he's flying around, he can't be on the ground to do any kind of like, real damage if that's how he fights or whatever, right? He's going to have to rely on flight, and even then, the ground, like again, when he goes back to the ground, it's all rubberized, and he has to, figure that shit out, right? He's gonna have to knock Luffy out. But I think when it comes down to it, Luffy will win that fight. Extreme difficulty. Be cool on the corner, and let me know what you think about Dragon versus Luffy in the comments below.